So I'll just put the premise of this interview. So I want you to design a hotel management system. I think it's because of the questions that I have asked before. So like I'm just thinking of you already have the confidence that you're going to crack this interview.
No,
So
I have total faith in you that you're going to make it very much convoluted for me.
so I'll just put the premise of this interview. So I want you to design a hotel management system, somewhat like Oyo. So it's not just uh, you have to manage one hotel, you have to manage like multiple hotels.
Okay,
And on top of that, it's going to be a high level discussion.
got
And
it.
we'll also get into smaller, low level discussion on certain components.
Yeah,
Uh, but essentially, we have to solve this problem in a way that it's scalable.
got it. Okay, so we are looking for scalability in this. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so now since I already know the question, I would like to start with hotel management system. And the
Yeah.
idea that you said that it is online system to manage multi multiple hotels. So Gautam, tell me this. So when you say that we handle multiple hotels, that does include that we can also have like a chain of hotels that are also coming into picture, right? Like as a further scope, we are keeping it like, for example, let's say that we have the Ritz, right? So Ritz do have multiple hotels, but they are also a chain. So if they want to get onboarded, we can have that thing handled as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of like for the you viewers, a lot of business hotels they are a chain like Hilton, Marriott, Taj, and all. So we are also looking at that as well. Yes.
Got it. Okay. So multiple hotels, and then it can be also a network of hotels. Okay.
Yeah.
So the way that I do understand, it's an online system, so it's more of like uh, so it's more of like, one is that the user, so we have like specific requirements from the user that we wish to be fulfilled. There would be specific requirements from the hotel side. So by that I mean, like, for example, let's say that there is a hotel A, so we have an app or an interface for them, interface for hotel side, so that they can know their current booking and everything that they have in the company, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So interface for the hotel. Another way that I was thinking was user side. Guys, do let me know if you're facing any of the noise issues. Okay, because I'm actually saying it because it might be a possibility that you're having it now. So from a user side, it can be more of like, searching the hotel, and with certain parameters. So this can be of different types. Say that price range. It can be of, like, let's say that how many rooms that they are looking for, so number of rooms, or it can be location as well. So this is more of an like one of the major API that I'm thinking that should be provided to the user. Another one that I'm saying is that they would be able to book a hotel room, and then they can have a check in and out. So these are the few things that I'm thinking from like a core end, that these are the basic APIs or the fundamental APIs that should be provided to the user.
Okay. So
Another one more side.
uh,
So yeah. So along with these two ends, I believe that there would be another end which is quite useful for the hotels as well as the company, or even in this case the network of hotels that we have. That would be an analytics side.
okay.
So this would be more of like, we get to know uh, what patterns that we were able to get.
Okay.
Patterns. So this can be like, these specific hotels has this specific facility, let's say room features. And another one can be, for example, on the basis of the reviews. So we need to consume out the reviews, and we can use that for the betterment of the complete network. Also, we can provide out the output to the hotels with this one.
Okay.
So these are the REVIEW reviews. So these are the functionally fundamental things that I say that we do need to discuss in this one. And so these are like more of the formal or the functional requirements that we do need to have. I think this is in my mind. Please do let me know if you want me to develop any of the other feature as well, or we can like take it on as we progress with this and then we start developing out the other one. Yeah.
Bookund has one more feature to add.
Yeah.
Change room feature.
Okay, so this would be update. Yeah, update booking. Does that sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming towards now, we'll be having the non-functionals aspect that we do need to discuss a little bit. Non-function requirements.
Okay. So yeah,
So
my bad.
non
Sorry.
yeah. So non-functional requirement, as you said that it should be scalable, as like in the introduction of this, you said that it should be easily scalable.
So Mukund has asked one question.
Hmm.
Sorry, I added one requirement. If a user checks in and wants to change room later with
Yeah.
or without paying extra fee, how do they do it? And we want this functionality to be there.
Okay, I'll add it now. I don't have a solution as of now. I think by the time we start developing out this specific feature, we can then discuss about the same. Yeah, feature or like more of a design thing that we need to handle. So, update room without more price, like without additional pricing, right? Gautam, is that the right question?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mukund will try to focus and then the answer on the same. So easily scalable. I believe like in the terms of latency, Gautam, a medium latency would be good enough in this. So for example, I'm thinking it in two certain aspects. One is more of like transactions when you do it. So in that, I would be expecting that in my backend, I will be having a very low latency. But in the cases of, let's say that when a user does a search feature, so if we have a medium latency, I can easily have a UI in the front end that says that we are searching the best options for you, and then it can provide us the result, right? Does that work?
Yeah. That
Okay.
works.
Medium latency. Another one would be that, so yes, as I said, the two aspects. So consistency. Consistency. So in this one, there would be, I believe, like, I'll be designing it in two parts. So one of the aspect or the part can have a medium consistency. So this would be more of like, in the search database that we have, we can have that. And in the another one, like transaction feature, we'll be having a high consistency, as the transactions will be like handling out the payment, or we can have in the raise condition for booking out one specific room. So I want that to be comparatively a higher transaction, so higher consistency as compared to a simple search model.
Okay. This I'll have to just pause for a second.
Yeah.
So a lot of really good uh, like a lot of good engineers, they actually don't tell you the entire like the non-functional requirement as this has to be this consistency or medium consistency. They actually tell that for some services it might be medium,
Yes.
might be high consistency.
Yes.
So he's actually demonstrating that.
Yes, because like in
So
an when we talk about a microservice architecture, right, we do know that it will be having numerous number of services, and it's actually crucial to have specific availability or consistency in according to the need of the service. Thank you so
yeah,
much for pointing that out, Gautam.
okay. Continue.
Yeah. So now can you tell me like, so I was thinking I will initially start it as a normal frame and then we can move it towards the scalability. But if you want to discuss the back of envelope, that is fine. Or you want to skip that part. So you can maybe tell me approximation, or I can tell you approximation of the number of hotels that we are thinking, and then the how many number of users and average or total we can discuss, so that we know how much traffic we'll be handling. Does that make sense?
Hmm. So uh,
Yeah.
okay. So the thing is, yeah, I want you to actually do a back of the envelope estimation. So I want to know the uh, requests per second, and like what would be the how many how many requests are we going to have, and like what is the size of the request, and like what are the details that you are going to provide.
Okay. Okay. So let's say that, let's start with, we have different elements in it. One is the users, one we have hotels, and then the number of rooms that are available in a hotel. uh I believe like these are the three main actors that we have. So if I start with an easier one, so let's pick up the number of hotels that I can have. So number of hotels. So let's say that we are considering only Indian region for now.
Mhm.
Okay. And say that initially we register with 1,000 hotels, and then eventually we grow it, and then I don't know how many hotels we can have. Say
Yeah.
500K.
Okay.
I'm
That's a good estimate.
sorry.
That's a good estimate.
I was thinking like a million, but then I realized let's do this one first. So, and let's say that we start with a initially, let's say 500K users, and we say that we wish to scale it to 10 million users as well.
Okay.
And users, and in this one, by the time we are on 10 million, let's say that we have on an average, I'm approximating that we have 4 to 5 million active users. These may not be the same users who are using it on a daily basis, but that this is an approximation of the traffic, the average traffic that we have on our service.
Okay. So do you think this is a read or write heavy system?
So in this one, if I do say, this is more of a read heavy system, since and this is I'm saying because it's more of like a behavior that I wish to know. For example, let's say that if I'm planning a vacation 6 months ahead, and I do want to know that what would be the rates of the hotels that approximately I can have in Goa. So I do those kind of queries. Or let's say that people are just browsing out what are the values, and so I'm saying more of reads, because a less number of rides or bookings that has happened as compared to people checking out the hotels. And it can be a possibility that a person is just comparing, let's say 10 hotels, and then booking just one. So it's more of like a very read intensive as compared to a write intensive program.
Okay. I have one more requirement to add. Okay.
Yeah.
I This is asked by Tushar.
Yeah.
How will you implement a coupon or discount or gift card system in this question?
Okay. I'll add that to a feature request.
And also, yeah, this is going to be something that I'm going to ask later. But yeah, Mukund, I'm actually recording that one down. Yes, Mukund, I'm going to add that.
How to
Um,
add coupons for discount. Okay, this would like be a complete different service that is coming in my head. Okay. And now this is the hotel, the users, and then the third one is that we have the number of rooms.
Yep.
So this is more of not a scalable issue. We can initially set an amount because it's more of just design and then a component of it. So I say that maximum 200 rooms that can be available. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So got it. And then in the case of one more thing, in the case of consistency that we discussed, one more is that I would expect this kind of system, at least the search system, to be highly available.
Okay.
What is the spelling of available? Okay. So how to, and yeah. So now if I do talk about it, the size of the data, if I say that, and this is more of just the structured data, I'm not including the transactions. I'm just saying that this room, this many features and everything like that. So let's say that one hotel consists of 10 MB of data, and this 10 MB includes like all of the features of the room and hotels and everything, structured data. And then I say that I have 500k users, so
Oh,
500,
okay.
sorry,
1 second.
yeah.
You said MB of data. One hotel is 10 MB of data. Can you elaborate on that?
This was more of like, so I'm not considering the blob data in it. This can be more of like a hotel, and then it can be name, rooms, that can be the count. And then if let's say that they have like 5 to 6 categories of rooms, and then they'll be having each room's features that are illustrated to us. So this is just that data, but I'm not considering this as to be the data which says this is the video or this is the picture or something like that. This can also be containing the price, availability, which can be changing, but it's more of like the core data that is that we're talking about.
Okay.
So it's just that data. It's but for example, the data as considering the video or the reviews or the photos posted by the user, those are I'm not keeping in this data segment. I'm considering this as just the which gives me the minimum MVP of of a hotel that I can get from this.
See, I want you to split this in terms of how many KBs of data. Like, for example, the room name, it might be like deluxe suite or something. How many KBs of data is that going to take? And I want that uh, details of it. So I want you to justify why it would take 10 MB for one hotel.
This was not like completely a 10 MB that I was thinking. Sorry if I reflected that. I meant this as to be the upper bound of this is the amount of structural data that I can have in a hotel. Original size can be a lot less as compared to this guy. So let's say that if I do have a care limit of the name of the hotel as 100, so it will be a lot less. This is say the room's number can be an integer value, which will be very less.
Okay, so what all data is provided in that 10 MB? Can you just list down all the properties of that?
Sure.
And what is the data type as well? That would
Okay.
help me out.
I was thinking to discuss that in the schema, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
So name, and then this can be
Mm,
a character of let's say 100 uh, characters. Then I can have the location, and
mm.
hotels do have let's say their branding or the a small introduction or description. Description, a char of 1,000 words. Then I can have the number of rooms. This would be an integer. Unsigned int. Okay. Another one that I can have is categories. of uh, rooms, then category feature,
Okay.
features for each type of room, feature for each type of room, the description number. uh so now when I do talk about, like, let's say the category, so it comes as like 5 types, and each type, features of each type, so there'll be like cat 1, and then having a description, something as like, the size, the bathroom feature.
Mhm.
This is more of like a number. This would be also like, I can keep it in a char because it says this by this square, let's say, or the number of beds or person it can accommodate. I don't know the spelling. Yeah, the number of beds. Let's say, and another can be that if it's AC or non-AC. So this would be kind of a bool. This would be an integer. These are the few of the things that were there in my head that can have a discussion about, like, complete in a hotel perspective. uh, I can take this one out as more of like a feature or a room. So
Mhm.
it can become like a property of a room, which can be part of hotel, because a hotel can have like also the features that it does provide by itself. That can be like, parking and those kind of things. So I can have a list of, let's say, 1,000 characters, or let's say 10,000 characters, which does provides me, or I can have, like, let's say, a non-relational schema. In that case, I can have all of the features that this hotel holds for us.
Okay.
um yeah, but this one can be subcategory for a room. And then so with this 10 MB, what I'm thinking is that totally it can hold the features of a hotel and the rooms that it's having inside it.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So there was this question from our viewer, like, why do you use bool instead of enums?
Oh, that's actually a good question. So in this one, I thought of more of like an AC non-AC as a bool, as I know that in this one it's just a certain category, or there is another different one. So it can either have this or not. But in the case of, let's say, that if I have different features, so for example, let's say that if I was having categories, in case
Mhm.
of categories, I think I would have used enums, because I know that there's a possibility that it can have just more than two or these three options. I think in that case, I would have taken enum.
Okay. Okay. Go on. I think your estimate is okay. I think we should move to the APIs or like the high level
This is
discussion on
like
top of
kind
it.
of I know a higher approximation, but I this was more of like I wanted to take an upper scale so that I can have an approximation of how much data that we can expect in it.
Yep.
Just 2 minutes, and I think I can complete this one. So 10 cap 5. This is the number that we have, and if we have, say, 10 MB of data from each hotel, MB is more of like 10 power 7.
Mhm.
So MB is like, okay, how much is MB? 6. Yeah, and then another 10. So I can have totally, and considering that this is right, so this would be, I was having a 10 power 13 um bytes of data. That is more of like a 50 TB data. Guys, please do help me out if this calculation is wrong, but do let me know. So this is, I'm considering in the case of structured or the core data of the user that I do have. This is the amount of data that I have, and I know with this much amount of data I would not be able to put it in just one storage device, because the amount of, let's say that I have 5 million average users, daily users.
Mm,
If they make a query,
mm.
that would be out of completely, like, I'll be running out of IOPS. So if I say
Okay.
5 million is 6,400, so it is 6,400, right? So that is more of like a 57 UPS. This is just by the number of seconds.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Number of, yeah, okay. So this is the amount of load that I do need to handle. This is the amount of structured data that I'm approximately expecting that I'll be having in it. Okay. Whew. Now, I think now we can move upon to the APIs aspect. This is more of like a little bit of a structure we'll be going through. But when we do look in the APIs, if I say from the user side,
Mm,
there can be create user,
mm,
uh, search, book, check, and update. Search hotels, one, uh, then we can have the update booking. And with this one, like, for sure that will be having the delete and those kind of features as well. Or also, like, when we do have uh let's say that, get rooms, get all rooms data, when we have a certain, like, for a specific hotel that I'm asking for. But this is just an overview of few of the APIs that we will be having from the user side. So if we talk
okay.
about from the hotel side, we can have as add room, or read one, let's say add hotel as well. And then internally they can be having, add the manager or add the information about it, add the features. Then for some of the blob data that we'll be having, blob means like binary object database. Ob- yeah, binary. So any multimedia data is your blob data. We can have, like, upload pictures, upload metadata, upload blob data. This will be
Okay.
handled in a certain aspect of a component, which will not be directly handled inside the core. So Gautam, like, these are few of the overview APIs that I think will be driving the system, but for sure there will be a lot more than these as well.
Okay. But you did miss the verb, the type of the request that it's going to be sent. Is it going to be get, post? What is going to be the
Oh yes,
parameters to it?
yes, yes, yes. So this is more of a post. Writing it at the start. Then search is a get, book is a post, update is more of like, or we can do it like with put, right? And
Mm.
get all rooms is also more of like a get. Add room is a post. Add hotel is a post as well, and this one is a post as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an overview. I think like we can discuss about the component. Initially, I'm thinking of making a linear backend that we have, and then we can talk about few of the functionalities, and then talk about the scalability that you discussed.
Uh, Before that, I want to know the parameters that you're going to push to this because it has to be some kind of schema, right? You might be thinking of some kind of uh, schema associated with it.
Got it. Okay, sure. So this, if I talk about like an overview of a schema, so basic schema. Yeah. Let's say that I have the users table,
Mhm.
and I'll be having the hotel table. This is I'm just like explaining in the case of a relational database. In the in the case of like initially when I'm trying to design it on a small scale, or we can have the conditionally. If once I have the basic scheme of in a relational manner, I believe we can easily change it into a very object or a JSON type schema as well.
Okay.
Transactions. Okay, so if I do have this can simply be having a user ID, and this can like this should be unique. So with the unique, I can have a UUID for this. I can have a username. This can be var like 2 base of 100 user email. So phone number. I think, should I put it as can I put it as like a varchar so that I can handle the country code as well, just in case.
Okay.
Okay. What else do I need with this? So user ID can help me with the transactions. Um, this is the data for the further ones. Like we do have like the reviews about the user as well, even in Swiki. I don't have a good review for some reason. Moving on, a hotel ID,
Mhm.
and I'm just keeping a UUID so that we do have a complete unique number. And since like if we want to do the analytics, we can always have the count. But in this case, few of the APIs that we do expose, I don't want to expose the number of like the if I directly have a auto increment number, I don't want to expose that internal information that these many approximation of hotels that we have the company. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Varchar 2 100, and then is having description 1000. What else do I have? I have the location for this location, and what all do I have? Yeah, with this, let's say that I have the room ID. And this one
Mhm.
I am thinking to, one way is that I can define in a, let's say that if I want to define it, I can have a complete again UUID. But in few of the cases that I'm thinking, we can have more of like a hotel ID associated with it at first, and then the unique room ID, so that we can globally identify a particular room in every aspect. Can have its features. So like it can give you a list of the things that it has, a number of beds,
Mhm.
a number, yes, a number of beds. What all do I have? This is the price of it. Very important. Integer. Okay.
You're also going to keep the prices in the database itself.
Initial for, I know that they will be changing.
Mhm.
Uh, okay. Like one way in this one, I can keep for the specific room, or I can have a
Mhm.
relation between the prices and then can change in that sense as well. But for the starting one, I'm trying to keep, like for example, in a very small or simple instance, I'm thinking to put the price here in the room, with the room, for a small scale.
Okay, reasonable.
As we grow, in the case of, let's say that when a user does a search, they do usually, it's like a behavior that human behavior, that we do try to search out the values, or we try to filter out the prices, let's say even either by the comfort or by the prices. So in that case, I need to keep these in the certain places and then link it to each room, or at least the category of the room, so that we can have these as a read easy, like we can read them easily. So I'm keeping it here for now, but I'll be keeping that in mind, that we do need to have these as, like, this is a read intense uh, object. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we can have a discussion about like how I can, how I'll try to move that in that case.
Okay.
Okay. We can have the relation between these. So one room can have n number of hotels, so 1 to n. We have a relational table between both of those, which gives me out that specific relation between one of, like, both of them. I am a little bit skeptical because of the stopwatch also that we have. How much time do we have? There's 39 minutes. Okay, running.
Yeah, we
No,
are slightly running out of time. We started at 10:09.
no, but I did start out the stopwatch afterwards, like when we actually started to code. So it's
Yeah.
fine. So we have the transactions. Okay, and then this will be having a transaction ID,
Mhm.
and then this will be more of like which hotel. I'm keeping a hotel and room for now in this as a segregated ones. So it happened in this one. So let's say that one of the user asked, right, that if I do wish to change out the hotel, I can change out the room with a transaction.
Mhm.
I can get that data from here, and then I can have it one. If we later on the point of time we try to decide that I want to access a complete room just by within that one ID, I can always remove the hotel, because a room ID will be providing me out the complete information in that case.
Okay.
The user ID that it's having. So these are the basics one. These are the basic tables that I'm saying. We will be having a specific joins in these as compared to the query that we hold, a specific relation between them as well, that we are trying to handle it out. So do you want me to go more in this one, or like shall I try to discuss the the design, and then we can discuss about the orientation of data, how we need to put them in different types of databases and how we wish to organize them.
We can go to the high level discussion.
Okay, okay.
Now, we are really in the high level discussion. There are two new features that have been requested. So I'll add one feature at a time while we are discussing it.
Yeah.
So I want to know how that is going to be integrated.
Okay. I can start off with the basics one, and then we can start, having these out. So this is more of like the two aspects of the users that we'll be having. So this one is
Mhm.
more of the hotel users, and another one would be the regular users, or the users that we have. And this is a front end application that we'll be having. So with this one, we do have our load balancer.
Mhm.
Sorry. Yeah. And with this, now we have our API gates, and these will be replicated. So say that, and we can always have a discussion about if we want to make them stateless or stateful service. So in this case, I'm just keeping that on now as more of like
Mhm.
API gateways. Now goes in the user data component. So these are the specific services which I'm thinking, and we'll be working with each of those users data and login parts. It can also handle just not for user, it can have the login service. I can call it as more of a login service which can work for hotel or the users, or for the even the managements. Okay. um Now one specific service, this one I'm talking about more, as this will be one of the one which will be responsible for doing a lot of service, so we are calling it as a core service.
Okay.
The actions that are required, for example, say the right operations or the booking operations. Okay, let me design it in this way. So uh, booking operations, and one we can have more of like search operations in this. Got it. Yes. So these are our basic core layers which will be doing the operations. We'll be having a lot more layers in this, but these will be working in major of the works. So let's define another component that would be our databases. So this one is read intensive. Okay, but still, so this one does holds our users data, the
Mhm.
transaction data, more of like all of the structured data is stored in here.
Yep.
Now okay, and this one is more of like I would like to keep all of the structured data in a relational database. That being that this booking operation will be having another service which it needs to talk to. That would be your transaction service. And this was the aspect that I was talking about in terms of consistency. So transaction service needs a higher consistency, but the search operation service does not need, like, it not need be a very high consistent service. Okay.
Okay.
With this one, I have, let's say this, I have a payment gateway, and this guy does talks to a third party, which handles our third party payment handler. Okay. Now, this one is required to be replicated since it will be storing a lot of data. And we know that initially there was a discussion that, relational databases are not scalable, or discussions like those, but they are very, very well scalable now. Initially, so I believe like the issue used to be more of when we try to index it. So when we talk about like a non-SQL data versus a SQL data, and this is just like 1 minute of deviation that I wish to take. In the case of SQL data, it does says that it becomes a problem when we try to scale it, since it uses indexing, and we do need to create different type of indexes so that we can get a specific requirement of the data that we have. Another feature initially that we did practice was that we do need to normalize the data so that it's not redundant and written in a lot of places, and that's how we always used to design the tables. So because of this, when the join needs to happen, there can be a very big possibility that one specific data that you're looking for is present in this db1, another is present in db2, and another is present in db3, which creates an issue. But right now the internal talking, for example, let's say that if you do take Postgres or MySQL, they internally do have this network of talking in which piggyback services, in which they do read these operations very fast, whereas in a NoSQL one, the idea is always to keep the data denormalized. Or even in the case of scalability, when you do wish to scale your system to a higher limits, there are a lot of chances where you do keep your redundant data so that you can provide out that very low latency even in the case of your scaling it out. Sorry, Gautam, that was just a idea that was there in my head that I wanted to express.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think viewers can agree that that is a really good wisdom that is imparted here. Uh, yeah. Go on, Sahil.
So another one, that this is one aspect. So if I do draw out the flows in this, I can have seven. Let's say the API gateway talks to the booking operation. In booking
Mhm.
operations, I do get the idea that I do a read from, even let's say put a cache. Okay. In case of, we know that this specific one, this specific guy or this specific location gets a very high reading, or we are suddenly having a very good let's keep a cache.
Okay.
So we do have a read request from here, from the booking operations, and then we do have our db reads, or even the case of writes as well. We do that. So, majorly this would be a write operation, since the search or the reading operations I'm trying to handle from the different API gateway. But in the
Mhm.
case of booking operations, that you did got the complete value. You made out the transaction service, the transaction service called the payment gateway. In this one we had, now this is Gotham, this is the aspect that the use one of our viewer asked, right? The discount coupon thing.
Yeah.
So coupon service, I can keep it here. Now a coupon service work on the basis of, let's say that it always works as like, this hotel has this discount. So let's say that I do check that the transaction which I have received from the transaction service that I have, this object is containing this specific hotel, or it can be like, first time user. So we do have a discount, let's say first time user discount, or we can have other things as well. So if the transaction falls into
Mm-hmm.
any of the specific category, or if I do have directly a coupon
Mm-hmm.
which was like, let's say, an explicit or a special coupon that they had, they apply it here, we
Mm-hmm.
see that this becomes valid, or any one of these becomes valid. We can make a change in this specific object through coupon service, and then update that specific request to payment gateway, which makes our payment to the third party payment handler, and then we have the complete receipt. Once we have that, the receipt, we can have the right operations here in our DB, which says that
Mm-hmm.
this transaction happened successfully. We do return out the handlings, and then we return out the gateway, and we say that, this booking took place to the specific hotel and also to the specific user, that this transaction was successful. So this is all in the case of when I'm trying to book a specific service. Okay, now let's talk about the search operations that I was talking about, which does not require a very high consistency. And by the way, in the case of consistency, since I'm keeping these as a SQL systems, these will be sticking to ACID properties, and they will be able to handle out consistency as it is embedded inside the SQL systems. Now,
Okay.
Gautam, when we talk about the search operations, in this one, I would like to keep our data in a little bit different manners as compared to the way that I've kept it inside my booking operations. So I would like to keep this as a NoSQL data.
Okay.
Just
Which non-SQL data, by the way?
yeah, NoSQL data.
Yeah, like which kind?
This was I was searching more of like an elastic search,
Mm-hmm.
since I would frankly say that I currently do not have hands-on experience with this specific service, but the amount of reading that I've done till this time, it says that for search operations, the orientation of inside the data is kept in such a way that it becomes like much more feasible to do the search operations in an Elasticsearch database as compared to other databases that we do have. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So when I do have my search operations, I can have all of my read request for the specific type of hotel, including the filters, with this specific database. Now this database will be having a replica, or like needs to be having in sync with my core databases that I'll be having as well. Because as let's say a specific hotel, let's say hotel A was having 5 rooms and it got updated, it needs to have an eventual consistency that after 2 seconds maximum, my search database also got updated, so that the next time, like let's say that after 2 seconds a user does a fresh search, they can always know that now hotel A has only 4 rooms and one is being booked.
Okay.
Also within this case, as we do have like read intent systems, we will be replicating them out, and in this one I can have a simple you know leader and the follower orientation of the databases, as the for example, let's say that if I define this guy as the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. if I define this as the leader, this can always get the updates. So get the updates from the bookings DB and keep on updating it.
Understood.
So this leader will be getting so we can always have like a different service which does do this job. Okay, so DB services, this guy always gets the update, and then it updates in the replicas that we do have. So this is more of like a reader follower or database orientation that we have for the search database. So Gautam, these two were the two types of databases that I was having in my head. One more aspect of keeping a data was the blob data that we'll be having about the hotel systems. Can I
Okay.
like focus a little bit more on those as well?
I think we are running out of time at this point. So I want you to actually add two more features to it. So
Okay.
what I want to understand how what all will you change for that.
Okay.
So there was this question from Mukund.
Yeah.
How do we add a point system for user? Like you must have seen for uh, I don't know, make my trip and all. If you go through their system and you are a customer there, you can use the point to the hotel whenever you're booking a hotel, so you can get a discount for that.
Yeah. So for that, see, this was like related to the coupon service. So in this one, this coupon service that we were having, this was more of like the consumer service that we were having. We can have another service. Let's say that we have. So if I focus on this area, okay,
Mhm.
and I have coupon service consumer. So let's say because this guy consumes it, and we can have a generator coupon service as well.
Mm.
So this guy generates coupon for us,
Okay.
and this can be again on the basis of, let's say, we can have few of the premium coupons. Okay,
Mm.
so these are more of like when you do get get exclusively, or let's say that you got a gift card and in that you are having this specific coupon, or we can have like a first time coupon, or we can have a sale
Mm.
festival coupon.
Mm.
So in this, what we did was internally, so there are two ways to do this. When I generate a coupon, I can actually say, sorry, and I'm not able to zoom it out. Yeah, when I generate a coupon service, what I do say is that a specific room which was having a price value in the other screen that we saw was having this specific amount, and that's, I believe, that was one of the reason why Gautam said that do you wish to keep it in here. That room service that we do have simply gives us a trigger action that when this specific unique ID is being implemented, when this
Mm.
specific transaction comes from this specific user, change the value of the hotel room price that has been provided. So initially, when these are generated from these services, I can always have a transaction service. So we usually see that even on like MMT or even on Zomato or something like that, we do apply the coupon in the end. So that is more of
Mm.
like when I do have my transaction object ready and then I apply it on the same. So I believe, like Gautam, this can be solved in this way. I can always have a coupon generating service which generates out the values, and then I can always have the coupon consuming service which can always absorb the transaction and change the transaction object according to whenever it fits the specific conditions. So this was my
Okay.
idea.
I have one more to add, Mukund has actually added one more feature. What about customer support? How do we deal with that?
Oh, okay. And even in this one, there was a few aspects as well. Okay. Um, I'll answer that. But before that, in this one, there'd be two more components, major components that were required to be handled. One was that we do have the analytics part, which we can be getting from both of our databases, and then we can always push it in a Kafka queue, which can store it in a cold storage, which can be used for later times analytical purposes. Another one would be the blob data that would be uploaded through the CDNs from your API gateways and then directly given to the user instead of returning it from the gateway perspectives. But sorry, what was the question again? Sorry. The customer
So,
service. Yes. Mukund,
yeah.
can you please elaborate? Like, what do you mean by customer service? Or Gautam,
So
can
a
you explain?
custom,
Yeah.
so a user is booking a hotel, but then the hotel canceled. Like it was Taj, and Taj canceled from their side when they were traveling, and they wanted to raise a complaint regarding that.
Okay.
So we need a service for that.
Okay. In that specific case, we can always have a service which is more of, do I need to keep it internal? I do need to keep it internal. Let's say that I do have a service from, this is from the office, and we have internal access.
Okay.
In this case, what we do usually ask the user is, so when we have uh, internal this one, if I do have my user ID
Mhm.
that I can easily get, or even let's say, any of the other data, for example, even from the email or the phone number, which is unique, I get this one, and I can always have the transaction logs with me.
Mhm.
Logs that this is an internal access that I have with this. So this one, internal access does comes when we do orient our data that we hold into specific layers. So just with your database and caching, there are even more layers, which there's a certain layer which just does defines how much of a access do you have on the database which is present inside the company. It can be very layered as compared to user or a normal customer support guy that is working inside a team, or even the developers or the founders. So that can be very different. So let's say that this guy is having transaction logs feature that it can have. So once it has these two data, it can always have a certain power to, let's say, revert a transaction, or if we don't want that, let's say that it can always have from the transaction, it can always have the hotel information, and it can pass on to the certain team which talks to hotel.
Okay.
And that way those query can be handled, because uh, passing on to a certain team is more of like an internal decision. I can say that this guy can handle that operation or not, that would be more of an organization decision. But this is how it can be done by adding a specific layer. Let's say that if I do had a specific layer of how much access I can have, so this is my data access layer, handles how much data a user can see. So do you want me to talk about the CDN as well, Gautam? Or we can skip like for
Uh,
this interview and then we can discuss in the other ones.
yeah, we think, I think that we can skip it for now.
Okay. Okay.